Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. To all my regulars, thank you for coming back. To all those who haven't shared, liked, subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Please share with your friends, your brothers, your sisters, everybody. Today I'm in a vibe, I'm in a good mood, guys. It's official. Yesterday was officially a year since I've been in Ireland, since I set my foot on this land that God said he'll give me all authority over. For those who know the Bible, he said wherever you set your foot, you own that land. And honestly, in the year that I've been here, God has come through for me, and I'm grateful and just want to give him all the praise and the honor before I start rambling. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be succeeding in everything that I put my mind to do, because it's not me, but it's him. So yes, I'm sure you've seen the title, Irish driving license, how to get your Irish driving license. So when I came here, guys, I carried my Meta ID thinking, when I just get there, this is what I'll be using to drive. I didn't do the research. Honestly, guys, when you're coming, there's so many more important things to worry about at that time. You can't think of everything. I just assumed, okay, I'll go with my license, I'm going to exchange it or something like that, or I'm going to be able to use it there. When I got here, fortunately enough, I work with a South African lady. So when she told me, no, I just exchanged my license and I got an Irish one. Then I thought, okay, what's the difference between South Africa and Zim? So I was in for a shock when I called the driving authorities this side. Unfortunately, we are not on the list of countries who are allowed to exchange their driving licenses. So if you're from Zimbabwe, where I'm from, you then have to make sure that you come and you get an Irish full license. But if you're like me and you can't wait to get the Irish driver's license, the easiest option, if you want to start driving as soon as you can, is to get an international license. And to get that, you need to apply to AAA Zimbabwe Association. You submit your passport size photos, a copy of your driver's license, and then they'll give you an international license. So what they say is you can use your international license for a year from the date that you arrived. So I arrived yesterday, which was the 18th of April last year. So that international license will be valid for the year according to them. Please don't get me wrong. It's not valid from when you've applied for it. It's valid from the day you've entered the country. So if I've entered Ireland on the 18th of April 2021, then it's going to be valid till 18 April 2022. It doesn't matter, because I applied for my international driver's license in July. So when it came, because they give it to you for a year, the expiry date written there is July, I think, 2022. So if ever you're caught on the wrong side of the law and they check that up, make sure you're within the year from the date that you came. So that's what I would advise those who are coming. When you come, you can bring your international driver's license and use that while you're getting the Irish license. Right, now we move on to how to get the Irish license. First of all, you do your, like the way we do it back home, where you do your theory test. After you pass your theory test, you submit those results, and an eye test, you go and get an eye test done, and you submit that to the local authorities, and then they'll give you what is called the driving authorities. They'll give you what is called the national driver learner permit. So it's a little card, and it just shows that your learner permit, you got it on which date, and it's valid till when. So within that period. And also, please note, guys, this is for someone who already has a full license wherever they're coming from. I'll go into what to do if you don't have a license at all. And at this point, if you know you're preparing to come, you don't have to bother. If you might as well check if your country is on the list of countries that are allowed to just exchange their licenses. But if you are like Zim, then don't bother getting your license, because you'll still have to do it again when you get to Ireland. So then you submit the eye test, you submit your theory results, they'll give you the learner permit. And then if you're a new driver and you've never had a full license before, you will do 12 lessons, or you're required to do 12 lessons before you start attempting the driving test. If you are a fully licensed driver, you'll get something called an EDT, which is a essential reduced driving lesson thing, where they give you do 6 lessons instead of the 12. And then when you've done that, then you submit them online on the portal. Like this side, a lot of things are done online, so you just submit the lessons you've done. The person who usually do that for you is your driving instructor. So one thing that for me initially, I thought, okay, let me get my international license and be driving temporarily while I'm getting my Irish license. And I didn't think it would be a big deal. Like, I thought, I'm a driver, I've been driving for years, what could be so difficult? But first of all, one thing I need to tell you guys is that my back home I was driving sorry, I just got distracted there. Back home I was driving automatic car for the longest time, and then the car that I got here, because I wasn't so sure on whether I was going to actually be able to drive with my international license, I just got myself a small car that I paid for, like a once-off, and I got it from someone I was working with who was relocating. And I just thought, okay, this is not going to cost me much in case I'm not allowed to drive. It's not money I can cry over. So I got that small car, and it was a manual car. Imagine, guys, you've been driving an automatic for years, you transition into a manual car, and then you're in a different country, different roads, different setup. To me, it really felt like I was starting afresh in terms of the whole driving thing. It really felt like I was starting from the ground, because one, I'd gone back to a manual. Two, the rules and the road rules here are very different, and the roads are very different. For those, I've seen a few posts on some groups about, even some posting in the UK about the roundabouts, and oh guys, there's a lot that's different here. You're basically learning from scratch, like everything about driving in a different land. So yeah, I started my lessons in November, if I'm not mistaken, and then December my instructor had to go to the States for holiday to her kids. Then I thought, okay, fine. And honestly, I didn't mind taking a break, because I felt like when I started my lessons, I started with the intention that I'm just supposed to do 6 lessons and do my driving test. But then I realized how different things really were. Like, reality hit home, and I kind of realized, okay, things are very different here. The roads are very different. Even the way they teach you to drive is very different from the way we were taught to drive back home. In the sense that, I don't know if it's my instructor who taught me back home, but one thing I noticed was we would kind of be taught to go down on the gears. Like, when you get a robot, you go like 3, 2, 1. This side you can stop in 3 and then go into 1. So it was like I was just starting afresh. I was learning everything from the ground. And I remember, I think my first 2 lessons or first 3 lessons, I was just getting used to my instructor's language and lingo. The words she was using, I had no idea what they meant. So my first 2, 3 lessons were basically to learn and understand what she's saying. And then I started realizing how different the roads were, realizing how different they drive here, and what you're expected to do, and putting it all together, it was a bit much. So when she went for her holiday, I was like, okay, cool. She says, send me a message. She was like, I'm going and I'll be back in February, at almost end of February. So I had like 2 months on my own, and I thought, no, the time she'll be gone. I'll be like practicing. The moment she comes here, the moment she lands, we finish the lessons, and I book and I do my test. She came back. I felt like, oh Lord, I haven't learnt a damn thing. But then I just told myself I'm not going to book. I wasn't ready, so I didn't put pressure on myself to book. But the only thing that was putting pressure on me was the fact that I knew my international license was only valid for just a year, and April I'd have to make sure I've got the Irish license. So I went and also, guys, bear in mind that even if whether you're starting and you do 12 lessons or you do 6 lessons, honestly, to me, 6 lessons wasn't enough. I think I did like 15 lessons. I stopped counting at some point. And just to give you a rough idea on the cost, driving lessons are €40 per lesson, and it's an hour. So it's either you learn fast if you want to save your money, or if you're like me, I ended up just telling myself, you know what, let me know the right way of driving in Ireland. Let me know what's expected of me. Let me take my time. Let me not put pressure on myself to rush and just do 6 lessons and go and do the driving test. So I did it till I felt I was ready. I booked, and funnily enough, I booked for today, which is the 19th, and my international driver's license would have expired yesterday. If ever I bumped into the cops, I would be in trouble. So I told myself I can't afford to fail, because I don't want to be on the wrong side of the law. So anyway, I prepared. I started looking up on YouTube. If you go on YouTube, guys, there's a very good guy there who teaches on what you need to know and how to deal with the roundabouts, how to do reverse corners. Because I realized that sometimes you will have an instructor and maybe you don't really get them, but when you hear it from another person, it makes more sense. So I kind of mixed the two. So thank God for YouTube, hey. And thank God for YouTube, because you guys now also know this stuff. I didn't know all this stuff before I came. And yeah, so I listened to that guy a lot. I listened to my instructor a lot. Sorry for the sounds of the birds. I just thought to do it outside yesterday and enjoy the sun, which is disappearing. But anyway, let me just finish the video. So guys, I'm so excited. I went for my test today, and when you go, let me just run through what happens when you go for your test. You are expected to know like the functions of the things in your car. No, you open your bonnet and show them. Okay, let me start from the start. So you've booked your test, right? They'll give you a date to come, and then they'll tell you that we'll call you when you're outside, and we'll call you in. So when you're outside, they'll call you and they'll do like a COVID questionnaire, like have you any COVID symptoms, have you been in contact with anyone who's had COVID in the last 7 days. If you haven't, then you go in. When you go in, you register, you show them your learner permit, and they confirm your address. And then they'll have like some papers on the table that have pictures of the road rules and the signs. Oh, not the road rules, the signs, the road signs. And then they'll ask you a couple of them, like what does this one mean, what does. So make sure you know your road signs. When you do your theory, you'll get a booklet that has all those, so you need to know them because they can ask you any of them. And yeah, so then when you're done with that, you go to the car. When you get to the car, then she'll ask you to like open the bonnet, and she'll maybe ask you a few questions just to see whether you know where does the coolant go, how do you check your oil, or where do you check your oil, where does the indicator the water go, or the windscreen thingy, the water that you use to clean your windscreen, where does it go. So you just point, you don't touch those things. And then you go back into the car. She's going to stand outside, or he's going to stand outside. Mine was a female, so I'll be referring to her as she. She stood outside like at the front of the car, and she was like, okay, left indicator, right indicator, you show her, and then she'll go back and she'll tell you put your brakes on, you put your brakes on, and then you indicate again. And then if she's happy, she'll come then to the side of the car, and then she'll ask you what's directions, or how will you indicate to cars coming behind you that you want to turn right, you want to turn left, or you want to stop. And then the same will apply. She'll ask the same question in the sense that there's a police officer. This side will call them the Gardi or the Garda police officer. So she says the Garda is in front of you. How would you indicate to them that you want to stop or turn left or turn right? So you would show her those signs. And then she's going to come in, clean the handle of the car, everywhere she's going to touch basically. And then she's going to tell you like what you expect, that I'm going to give you instructions, I'm going to tell you what to do, and if you don't understand anything, you can ask me to repeat. She comes into the car, she asks you to leave. So basically they'll just basically say on the next 10 I want you to go left. Then you do whatever you have to do, you go. Then she'll take you. So the three main things that you really do here are the town drive, are the reverse around the corner, and the turnabout. Back home we used to call it the 3.10. They used to call it the 3.10 here as well, but they've since changed to just the turnabout, because it doesn't really have to be 3 turns. You can do more than that. If sometimes the road is kind of narrow or it's small, you may need to turn more than 3 times. And then yeah, so then also another trick for those who are looking to do their driving test, book. My instructor told me this, book in the morning, like it's around 1:10, because children go to school at 9, so the whole traffic for kids and all being dropped off is finished, and people are basically at work. But the moment you book 3 p.m, you've got very high chances of failing, because you're going to meet children knocking off. They knock off at 3, so there'll be a lot of traffic, there'll be a lot of people knock off and get into town. A lot will be going on in town, like, so your chances of making mistakes are very easy. So it's easier to do it in the morning when it's a bit quiet. And for me, the lucky thing as well today was it was a holiday. It was Easter Monday yesterday, so people are still, I think, in the holiday mode, and kids are on holiday they're on a break, like, so there was no school, so at least I didn't have to be looking out for school kids and all. So also just plan when you book your test. And yeah, so the test is basically you'll be driving for at least 25. I felt like it was going on and on. You'll be driving for at least 25 minutes according to my instructor, but for me, I think it was like 30-40 minutes. And yeah, you just need to really try to learn when you do your lessons. Don't let that €40 go to waste. And also just hear other opinions, but make sure you don't get confused by them. Like, listen to accredited people. Don't just go with whatever you hear, because there's so many channels on YouTube, so you need to do the specifics for where you are. And yeah, so that's me. I'm so excited, you guys. Unfortunately, I'm going to night duty. If I wasn't, I was going to be doing celebrations today, because it's not easy when you come to a new land and there's so much that you have to do. When we came, we had to do the RCSI exams. You're done with that. Next thing you find out, you need to redo the whole license thing, and you're like, gosh. And then when you start doing it, you realize, oh, this is so different from the way we're doing it at home, or the roads are very different. But it's nice to actually learn, and I would comment, like, it's okay for them to actually say do it, because the roads are very different. They're more advanced. There are bigger lanes, there are smaller lanes in some places, there are big roundabouts that we didn't have at home, and it's complicated. So you really need to learn how to do it so that you are like a safe driver, and it's fine. But come prepared for that, you guys. If you don't have a license already, don't bother. You get it here. If you have it and you really want to drive like I did when I came, when you get here, then you can use your international license, and while you're working towards your full Irish license. So that's me, guys. Happy, excited. And yeah, I hope I didn't leave anything out. But to all those who are trying to get their licenses, all the best. It's not an easy thing to do, and you most probably won't get it. You won't be lucky enough to get it the first time like I did. But then we give all the praise to God. Like, to me, I feel like everything, it's Him who does it for me. It's not because it's Coco or I know what I'm doing. I submit everything to Him before I do it, and He always comes through. So thank you guys for tuning in. That's all I had to share today about an Irish driving license. I saw people, a few people had questions about that. I hope you're happy. I hope you're satisfied. If you've got any questions, like, or you want me to go deeper on certain things or specific questions, you can connect with me on my Instagram account. I'll put my link down below. And yeah, thank you guys for your support. Once again, please like, please share, please subscribe. Bye.